Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy you're here. This week, we're gonna talk about networking. It's everybody's favorite thing, right? Like you're like, yay, networking. That's what everybody says when they say networking, right? Well, actually, there are people that are like, yay, networking, because they have figured out how to network effectively and not hate it. So here's the thing. As a teacher, nobody ever taught me how to network. No one ever said to me, you know what, this is how you go out and meet new people and you connect to new people as a business owner and as a human. And also you make it so that you don't hate every ever loving minute of it. Networking is an art and a skill that is taught maybe in business school. I don't know. I know plenty of business people that don't know how to do it without selling you. So maybe it's not taught in business school. Maybe it's something that some people just magically have and others of us don't. And if you're introverted-ish like me, then maybe you just didn't get that gene. I don't know. But I had to learn. And so what I have found over time is that there are a couple of really simple keys. I think there are 5 to making networking work for you and be really super effective for your business, no matter what you sell, no matter how you're trying to grow. It can be like the best tool in your pocket of all of the things you do and use. And it doesn't matter if, your business is local or international, none of that matters. Networking can be a super effective tool for you, but also at the same time, you can not hate it. Like you don't have to hate networking. It's fascinating, isn't it? So today on the podcast, we're going to talk about these 5 keys to becoming an effective networker and also not hating it. Because, you're not going to be great at something that makes you miserable. That's just the crux of it. And if you are at networking and really not enjoying it, then it's not going to get you where you want to go, right? Before I dive into these 5 keys, there are 2 things I want to remind you are out there. The first is the next round of group coaching starts next week, the first week in February. As I'm recording this a couple of weeks ahead of time, because I'm actually going on vacation at the end of January, our first ever family winter beach vacation. So I'm ridiculously excited and trying to be a little ahead. I don't know this far ahead of time if there are still spots open. However, group coaching is magic. It is literal magic. It is the best possible version of you getting what you need, but also getting things you didn't know you needed. Because that is the magic of a small group coaching program. And my groups are truly small. They are limited to 4. They are really about making sure you as an individual get exactly what you need to move forward week in and week out, but that you also get the benefit of what everybody else needs all at the same time. It is the best version of your needs plus growth and being exposed to things you wouldn't have known or wouldn't have thought about or struggle with and didn't realize without, having to figure it all out yourself. So groups run for 20 weeks. We're starting in February. We'll be done in June. And then the other thing is, if your thing this year, or here's the thing, if you hate selling and you're tired of hating selling, I have a class that I'm launching in March called Selling by Giving, and we are going to take the hating out of selling. If you want to be selling effectively and it's a lot like this networking thing, if you want to not hate it and you want to not feel like, ew, every time you do it and feel slimy, and you want to find a way that feels like you, that way exists. I'm going to teach you how to get it. The teacher in me has figured this out. I have figured this out, how to sell and not hate it. I love all of the way I do sales process now. And you don't have to do it exactly my way. We're going to find your way, but I'm going to give you the base from which to start from. And then we in class are going to implement together, because here's the thing. And I keep saying this in all things, learning is great, but doing is better. So we're going to implement, because I don't want you to take a class and just learn stuff and walk away and never use it. That sucks. We've all taken all those classes. That's not worth your money. Worth your money is change, and you are going to get change. So come join us for Selling by Giving. If you want to go find the details and you want to sign up, you can do that right now. You can go to torpycoaching.com/workshops and you can grab it there. It is ready for you to join. Okay, so let us talk about these 5 keys to networking. First, here's the first step. Key number 1 is to find opportunities that feel like you, but also at the same time to be okay with being uncomfortable. So no one's first networking meeting felt amazing. Very rarely, right? The first time you go to networking, you feel like a weirdo, period. That's just the crux of it. Like, nobody's comfortable with something brand new with a bunch of strangers. Unless you're like a completely different person than I am, and maybe you're out there. There are those people, they exist. They walk into a group and they own the room. Like, awesome, good for you. I am super proud. I don't know very many of those people. Maybe they're not women in their 40s. I don't know. But here's the thing. Make yourself as less uncomfortable as possible by finding something you like in advance. For example, I know for me, I am more comfortable in groups of women where we're learning something. Like, it's something lovely that, like, learning in a group for me, and for most former teachers, honestly, for anyone that's really a teacher at heart, and y'all are teachers, most teachers on some level like want to learn stuff. We're like, I'm gonna go get a skill out of this. And if you meet new people along the way, yay. But either way, you got something, right? So for me, that really helped me be less uncomfortable as a networker, because I could go and learn stuff that I was curious about, and then also do the meeting people part. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just find things that you're like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. Don't just pick a networking meeting and be like, I have to do this. I have to eat the smelly sock. Like, we're not trying to make it as hard as possible. So if you read the description of a group, an event, it's something else, and you're like, oh God, no, don't go to that one. There's a billion networking events and people out there. Pick something that you're like, oh, that sounds cool. Go to that one. I know it sounds really simple, but I'm shocked by the amount of time that people are like, well, this is just the event that's happening, so I felt like I had to go. Nope, 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 nope. If you think it's going to be miserable, it's going to be miserable. Don't go. Number 2, when you go to the event, the real networking is not the event. I know. It is not the swapping of business cards. It is not the like, hi, my name is Sarah, this is what I do. That's not the real networking. That's the first step. The real networking comes afterwards. The real networking comes from connecting to people one-on-one. This is the part I think they forget to teach anyone, anywhere. Like, people are like, oh, I went to this event and then nothing happened. Yeah, that's true. Because what we have to do is then build connections from the event. The event is the introduction. So when you go to a networking event and people are introducing themselves, or you meet somebody and you get their business card and you're like, she was kind of cool. Put a little star next to her name and then follow up and be like, hey, would you be game to meet one-on-one? I say all the time, the message I send to people all the time is like, it was great to meet you. You know, I thought what you did was really interesting. I would love to get you to know you a little better. Would you be game to hook up one-on-one? Either, if it's somebody who doesn't live where I live, I say over Zoom. And if it's somebody who lives here, like, sometimes I say over Zoom, because I don't have all the time to meet everyone for lunch or coffee. It depends on the person. I'm really like strategic with that kind of stuff. I don't have lunch with just anybody. So, because I'm protective of that space, weirdly. And maybe that's good for me and maybe it's not. I don't know. Judge me in whatever way you like. But, say to people, I would love to get to know you better. Can we hop on a Zoom call for a half hour? And then hop on the Zoom call and just get to know them better, right? So take the next step. You do not have to connect one-on-one to everybody that was at the meeting. This is not like connecting by quantity. This is like, hey, she was really interesting. I would love to meet her. And go do that. Like, every month I will sit down, this is one of my newer habits, and think like, who do I know, but I don't really know, right? Who do I know, but I kind of know what they do, but I wish I knew more. And then I go like seek those people out and be like, hey, can we connect one-on-one? Because like, there are people in your world right now that you know from Facebook, or on LinkedIn or whatever, that you know through a friend that you don't actually really know, but you think are kind of cool. Go connect with them and be like, hey, I think you're kind of cool. Like, be the dork, be willing, and like hook up together and be like, oh, I get to know them better. This is how we make the connections that build all the stuff. Because those are the people that will be like, oh, you know what? I know this person, you should know. And then suddenly you're like, oh, how did that happen? It happened because you made the step of asking to connect. So that is the magic ingredient in effective networking. The second key is the key, really. One is going to take the effort to take the next step. Number 3, when you do that one-on-one, when you meet people at the event or whatever, be agenda free, but not curiosity free. You do not have to go and be like, if I don't make any sales here, I did it wrong. The point of networking is not sales. It's not. I know there are networkers out there that are gonna be like, you are wrong. You are doing it wrong. I have actually had people tell me that. But you know what? For me, it's not. When I show up at networking, it's because I want to connect. When I show up one-on-one, it's because I want to connect. I want to know you, human. So if you show up to connect and you just want to know the humans are going to be like, oh my God, that was amazing. Because so many people show up to networking with like when is it my turn to talk kind of agenda. And it's like, that's not what this is about. Like, I play all kinds of games. I'm such a dork. I play all kinds of games. I play, especially when it's somebody like who's really new to me, I'll play like, how many questions can I ask them before they ask a question about me? Like, I play all kinds of games because I want to know what they're about. So I will, people will say one thing and I'll be like, ooh, wait, tell me more about that. Or they'll be like, yeah, I'm working on this new thing in my business. And I'll be like, tell me more about that. And then I'll ask them a million questions because A, I'm a freaking nosy human. And B, I want to know. So we get talking about unexpected things. We get talking about kids playing sports. We get talking about things they're loving that they're building or tools they're using or God, who knows, their favorite restaurant. We talk about all kinds of things. I follow the curiosity of the conversation. You can do the same. I have built all kinds of business this way. And there are times where I'll be talking to people. This happens more regularly than it's fascinating. And people will be talking about their kids, we'll be talking about baseball, we'll be talking about, I don't know, snow or whatever. And then we'll start talking about something they're working on. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, you know what? I think I might need your help. Oh, okay. Because I am not there to sell them. I'm just there to talk and connect and be of use. So if you show up curious, and to be of use, magic things happen. If you show up and make it all about you, then that's not really connecting. So, you can turn your inner monologue off. You can turn the like, what's my next question? What do I need to be able to say here? When is it my turn? Girl, I get it. We all do that. We have all been there in that conversation where you're like, well, I never got to talk about me, right? Stop making it about you. I know. There are ways to make it work. If you go to all your networking and you never tell anybody what you do, that's a problem too. It's a different problem. We will deal with that separately. However, be curious. Sometimes that's the way it works. Like, I occasionally get connected to people who are really brand new at networking and they don't know how to ask the questions. That's okay. So probably I don't tell them a lot about what I do. I ask them questions and I model for them and I help them learn how to do this thing. And you know what? Sometimes that's great. Like, okay, that's the service I can be of to them today. And, down the road, they might be like, oh shit, I should have asked her some questions. That's fine. That's okay. They'll come back. Okay. So number 4, be prepared to ask and give help. Here's the thing. We all go to networking. If you go curious and agenda free, at some point, if you're talking to anybody who's networked in any way before, they're going to be like, and what can I do to help you? Have something to ask for. Honestly, for me, the vast majority of the time, what I ask for is more connection. So I'll say to people like, hey, you know what I would love is if you have someone in your circle that you think like we'd be fun together, connect me together with them. If you think we'd laugh, if you think they need me, if you think we'd hit it off and be great collaborators, if you think whatever, please, I would love to be connected to them. And people are always like, oh, I'll find somebody. Yeah. And they always do. And some of my favorite people have come out of connecting that way. I have met some of the best people like that, where they're like, you know what you would be fun with? This person. And you get together and you're like, yep, we're fun together. And then you never know where it goes, right? It's amazing. But know what you're going to ask for. Typically, if you're learning to network, you're practicing connection, ask for more connection. Or if that person in front of you said something that you're like, you know what, I actually do need help with that, ask them for help. Or ask them if they wouldn't mind taking like 5 minutes to give you a little feedback. You know, people want to be of use. It's okay for you to say, hey, you know what, can I ask you a question about how you network? Can I ask you questions about where you network, about your favorite places? Can you make a suggestion about something I should join? What's your favorite Facebook group? Right? Like, I've had people ask me all kinds of good questions like that. Or, you know, tell me the book you've read that was most useful for you. I'd love some new books. Cool. People are happy to tell you those things, right? People love to share. So ask. And then be prepared to also share and give. So you might say to people, you're going to at some point say, how can I be of service to you? How can I be of use? And then when somebody, you know, says something, see if you can help. Connect them to someone. Like, oftentimes I'll be talking to somebody and I'll be scribbling down little notes on the side of my pad over here that'll be like, connect her to the following people. Because at this point in my networking, I know a lot of people. And so as I'm talking to people, I'm like, oh God, they'd be fun together. And so oftentimes I will make those connections because, you know what? Like, they're always good for people. That's cool. Let's do that. So be prepared to give help and ask for help. That's why you're connected. That's how networking and connections deepen. And that's part of how we serve each other and strengthen this. And then the last one is this. It is really important after you connect, after you go to an event, after you meet somebody new, to just step back and go like, how'd that go? And it's not like, what did I get out of it so much? But it is, how did I show up? It is, how did this event feel to me? Like, do I want to go to more events with this organization? It is, what did I learn? It's, what experiment did I do? Like, how did I introduce myself and how do you think it landed? Right? It's worth just taking a few minutes to be like, how did this go? And not in the like, I did a bad job kind of way. I didn't get any sales, so I failed. That's not what we're doing. But it's very much in the like, how is this fitting? Like, is this a good group for me? And being really intentional in thinking that kind of thing through. If you do all 5 of these things in fairly short order, you're going to be like, oh God, I'm not bad at this. And also like, I kind of like this. I kind of like the people. I kind of like the events. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I would not have told you that I enjoyed networking. 3. But like, I have really learned to love it and the people and the connecting. And it has done magical things for my business, but it's because I do these things. So if you want to be better at this and you want to not be miserable at it, this is the way. And if I can be of help, you know, as you know, if you're listening to this and we don't know each other and you want to connect, I always have time for you people. This is what we do. And like I promise, I'm not showing up with a sales agenda. If you're like, hey, I want to network, cool, let's do that. The easiest way for you to get me is on Facebook or on email. Come onto Facebook, join my Facebook group. It's Uncomplicating Business for Teachers, Helpers, and Givers, just like this podcast. Come play. I'm happy to connect. And if you are finding this podcast useful, it is really helpful if you are willing to subscribe. You get the next episodes, you get notified of all the things, but also it helps other people find this. And if you think it's useful, then maybe other people will too. And if you write a review, that makes it even easier for people to find. We would deeply appreciate it so much. And if you're not in my Facebook group, come on in. There's always good in there. Until then, I'll see you next week.